So the first thing in this chapter that I kind of noticed was the middle way in Buddhist economics, and this was a balanced path between overindulgence of materialistic goods and kind of the opposite of that. So this kind of struck me because in America, there's this big ideological idea of obtaining as much wealth, as many goods as possible, and being as rich as you can. And the middle way kind of encourages like a balance between ethical, materialistic, and spiritual well-being. So I thought that was really interesting how the two economic ideologies contrasted. You can go next. And then so the middle way is used in Buddhist economics. This also differs in the way of how consumerism occurs. Um, in America, consumerism and marketing is constantly pushed down your throats. With commercials and everywhere you go, you see a sign buy this new thing, and kind of there's always this new thing that you need to get. And the Buddhist economics middle way kind of discourages that and kind of says, you should be content with what you already have, and you shouldn't desire more. And I thought this graphic on the right was kind of interesting because it's kind of how America is. Earn more money, buy more things, and that's kind of your route to happiness. When really, you should really be content with what you already have, and find joy in the other things in life.
Modern economies are super materialistic. They're focused on the actual good more than anything. The Buddhist point of view is drastically different because they're not attached to wealth. They realize that the craving for wealth can cloud your vision and get in the way of something that was otherwise wholesome. Modern economics is simply focused on how much money you have. They equate money to happiness. The Buddhist view on this is that this is just them glorifying a sinful material. They believe consumption of goods and overall capital should enhance your well-being, but with the least amount of consumption possible. So basically, it's like the modern economics is just glorifying the money that you make and that you achieve overall. Whereas the Buddhist view is saying that um, the goods and the overall money that you make shouldn't be the driving force of why you go to work or why you do something. This should just be an enhancing factor. It shouldn't be that uh, just to have a correlation that ice cream is your main course in a meal. It should be that ice cream is it's a luxury after the meal. Kind of how Buddhists think about money in general. They believe that money, like I said before, should be not a driving force, but enhancement to your well-being. And only then they believe that you're not glorifying it, you're not holding it to a high pedestal, you're not holding it over your overall well-being and peace. And then at that point, it's like money can be on the same level as your work, because then it's not overshadowing your well-being and peace. And only then they believe that that's proper economics.
Buddhist economics versus modern economics. Modern economics tries to find a way where the environment is not harmed and thinks of the future generations. Well being, non material or wealth, more about family and friends and mental well being. Does not address environment. Well being equals wealth, high income. For work, the total quantity of good produces during a given period of time is success.
Okay, I'm gonna be sharing the difference between Buddhist economics and modern economics. First, the Buddhist economics, they try to find a way where the environment is not harmed. Like they're always thinking of the future generation of what's to come. So like, yeah. Um, and then the modern economics doesn't really address the environment for now or the future. Another one is well-being. For well-being, the Buddhists do not like they don't focus on like wealth. They focus more about family and friends and their mental status. and their mental status, well-being. So they focus on other things apart from just wealth. And then for modern economics, their meaning for well-being is mainly wealth and high income. The Buddhists prefer to work less and but still have more. Like it's like the phrase "work smarter, not harder." So they prefer to work less, but they're still getting the same amount of income. And then modern economics, they for work, it's for them what matters is the total quantity of goods processed during the given amount during the given period of time is success for them. So I guess the more they produce is good. But yeah, those are some differences of the Buddhist economic and the modern economic.
To wealth, one thing I did. The resources unevenly distributed over the globe, which is limited in quantity. I mean, obviously, you can't distribute too terribly much without having a shortage of something. The exploitation at an increasing rate creates violence toward nature, which then leads to violence for the human life. It's just meaning really the increasing, like the rate, as what it said, it hurts nature and the environment. And then at some point down the road, it's going to turn into violence towards the human life, just people fighting over the increasing rate, and which is definitely not good. It is not the wealth that stands in the way of liberation, but the attachment of wealth itself. Um, People obviously, the wealth obviously, like we talked about in class, it's the attachment of wealth can get deadly. Not pretty, that's for sure. But the production of local resources for local needs is one of the most rational ways of economic life. Buddhist economics emphasize the importance of non-attachment to material wealth, promoting a balanced and mindful approach to economic activities that prioritize the contentment and the welfare of all living beings. Seeks to address not only the material aspects of wealth, but also the spiritual and ethical dimensions of economic life. And that just pretty much rounds out to the balance between material well-being and spiritual and mental well-being. And the eco work function that goes with all this is to just utilize development and able to overcome egocentrism, which it just means attachment to wealth. And basically what it's saying is this is not good. You don't want to get too attached to it. You want to focus on the spiritual well-being and more or less not the wealth side of things. So that's what I had for that section right there.
In the Buddhist point of view, it gives a chance to utilize and develop faculties, overcome ego-centeredness by joining other people in a common task, bring forth goods and services needed. The Buddhists, they strive for a purification of character. This differs from our modern economy of going to work for money and not thinking about a bigger purpose, like how we can learn from work. In our economy, we measure the most consumption and assume the person who has the most is better off, not looking at anything else. And they have disciplined work over income, which is opposite of the way that our modern economy works. We just go to work and don't think of it like they do.